I'm Jen with one N.
And I'm Jen with two N's.
And this is Talk Dogs with us.
Anyway,
Well,
Food Enrichment.
I'm so excited. It's my favorite.
Snackums.
Yeah, the snackums. Okay, so this episode's on Food Enrichment. I first became interested in food enrichment when I was volunteering at animal control in Philadelphia like 1 million years ago, and I was interested in helping these dogs that were there. They were part of a court case that was, long and drawn out and kind of awful things. But suffice to say, these dogs were in a custody battle where, did they belong to the owner? Did they belong to animal control and the city? And so they were kind of in a limbo for a while. And the vet that was working there at the time, who's now a very good friend of mine, was talking to me about things that we could do for those dogs that would be kind, right? Because they couldn't be taken out. They couldn't be played with because of the nature of their court case and the accusations against them and their owner. But she taught me about food enrichment as a kindness for those dogs that were essentially incarcerated, without a release date on the table. So from there, I started a club that started as like a one-off thing. We called it the Foodies, and we started gathering at animal control and filling Kongs. And we got, we had freezers, and freezers donated, and we were just filling buckets and buckets of Kongs.
Where'd you get the Kongs?
The Kongs were partially purchased, partially donated. And so we would get these storage totes like you would put under, I was going to say under your bed, but they were bigger than that. They were like Christmas decoration style, like you have this tote in your basement. And so we would put dry dog food, wet dog food, sometimes boiled chicken or turkey would go in there if somebody had donated it, and water, and we would make a mush. And I would always mix it with my bare hands, refusing to wear gloves, and that made everybody want to throw up. But the idea of it getting down into the glove
That's
inside,
worse for me too.
It's worse. That's worse. And so we would make a giant slop, and we would fill the Kongs, but we would also make these kind of in a cardboard fry boat, like you would get French fries at a carnival.
Okay.
We would pour some of the mixture in there and make a Cliff Bar sized
frozen bar.
So that you would rip them off the fry thing. And if there was like a little piece of paper or something, like it's not, if you're living in animal control, you have worse problems than ingesting a tiny piece of paper. And so those could just be thrown in, and they were also smaller, so dogs could get multiple of them. So you could throw a couple in there. I believe somehow the organization was able to acquire Kong Wobblers, which are the food dispensing toy that we'll talk about a little bit later. But that was another thing that those incarcerated dogs could enjoy in their kennels.
Yeah.
That was kind of special for them to have something to work on. So that's how I became interested in food enrichment. I grew learning about it. I was raising service dogs, and we had to use it for the, service dogs are like, they want to work, they want to go, they want to move, they're go, 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 go. They want to organize your DVDs at 7:45 in the morning because they're just awake and ready to make it happen. And so for her, we, made a variety of puzzle bowls that were super fun. And it is my favorite thing to teach dog owners about, because it's pretty easy and it's really beneficial.
It can be as easy or as intense as you want it to be.
Oh, yeah. You'll see, there are some people on the internet that will make these elaborate lick mats or puzzle bowls where they have different proteins frozen in little ice molds so that they'll have a paw print or a rainbow or a star.
And then they'll put some kind of flavor powder over it.
Yeah, there'll be like powdered
Looks like it's prepared by a personal chef.
Oh, absolutely. Should be on chef's table with like the classical music and everything just leading up to it. So you could, if that's your jam, go for it. We know that for our pet dogs, that is an activity that we can just add to their daily routine because they're eating every day, hopefully. They're eating every day. So why not take those 1 or 2 opportunities, depending on your feeding schedule, or 3 even, why not make those opportunities enriching?
Right.
The thinking about how to think about it is kind of the why we do it. and the applications, right? So the thing I want you to think about food enrichment from is that it's just nice. It's just a nice thing to do sometimes.
It's kind. It's a kindness that we can offer these dogs that we have kidnapped and made live in our houses.
Right. We have an animal in captivity. Why not? I want to say throw it a bone, but that's kind of too on the nose. But like, let's
hopefully
like,
not too on the nose.
Yeah, don't hit them in the nose with bones. That's counterindicated. But why don't we do something kind for them? Right. That's it can be fun, I think, to like watch them figure out enrichment stuff. I really enjoy the like watching them use their noodle.
You really get to know their personality.
Yeah, you do. And yes, you can use it to modify minor behavior. I don't want to say issues, but like minor behavior problems. You could use food enrichment to guide around. You could use it as a tool in your toolbox. You could use it for a dog that maybe has medical rest prescribed. Like maybe they just had a surgery or a neuter or a spay, which are also surgeries, but I was thinking more like limb surgery or abdominal surgery.
Amputation.
Yeah, that's the ticket. TPLO kind of thing.
Wound
like maybe,
repair. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe they need something where they need to be on the dog equivalent of bed rest is crate rest. And so for those dogs, we can do a lot of food enrichment that involves licking or chewing, because that is something that they can do while relatively stationary.
And it can help them get through that process not only faster, but easier, and they'll heal better if they're enriched and not just bored.
Right. And, you can use it in terms of like something to keep your dog occupied when you want to be playing video games or be on a Zoom call and they need to keep busy. So, there's all kinds of little benefits is like kind of how I want you to think about going into this description of food enrichment. His ears perk up every fucking time. I don't know why I'm amazed. It's literally my fucking job to do. This episode is for, pet parents,
vet staff,
especially if you have patients that are hospitalized. That's something, crate rest doesn't have to be just at home, but like crating in hospitals that are staying overnight.
Trainers.
I think, trainers can do this education for their clientele. They could also offer.
I have always wished for a service. If someone could just make this service and do it, that would be ideal for me. I need someone to create my enrichment things for my dog, bring them to my house, and then I will give you the things back to wash, and then you give them back to me filled.
Yeah, like a meal kit service.
Yeah.
For enrichment.
Yeah.
Someone needs to get on that.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it.
So I think daycares, if you have separate areas to, if like they have an afternoon nap.
Dogs have individual spaces.
Yeah.
Protected spaces.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be introducing food enrichment to a crew, because that's a recipe for having somebody get a little worried about the food enrichment and maybe guard.
And then shelter med
for sure.
And like sheltering in general.
Yeah.
Is probably the biggest place that I've used it aside from my own house.
And that's where I got introduced to it. And in such a because it was really important to me, at least, that those dogs had some kind of lifeline. Right. Because they weren't allowed to come out
because
and interact
they can
with
really
people.
Deteriorate.
Absolutely.
If they're not using their brain. Imagine it's not the same in any means, but you can imagine what it's like to be imprisoned and isolated.
Yeah.
And you need some kind of enrichment when you're in that situation. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you'll naturally deteriorate.
Right.
Foods that we want to avoid when we're doing food enrichment are obviously grapes and raisins.
Onions and garlic.
Xylitol.
You want to stay away from nitrates. So a lot of like lunch meats, hot dogs, like go easy on those.
You also want to stay to things that are either salt-free, low sodium, or low fat.
Yeah. Again, pancreases get angry pretty easily. A lot more easily than I should think that they would. But, I'm not the god of pancreases.
Most people know this, but chocolate, coffee, caffeine.
Yeah.
And dairy can really upset some dogs' bellies and really have no impact on others, just like people.
I also think it's important to test your food enrichment before you dive in. If you're going to be giving your dog something to enjoy in a crate when you're not home, I would definitely do some test runs, like maybe 3 to 5 test runs of just like observing what they do with that toy.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to have the ability to have cameras on your dog, I think that would be helpful.
In that way, you can use the food enrichment to tell you things about how the dog's feeling. Because if you have given them this enrichment item 3 to 4 times outside of their crate and they eat it completely, then you give it to them in their crate. And when you come back, they haven't eaten it. You can know that that dog is uncomfortable in their crate to the point where they couldn't eat.
Or with your absence, yeah.
Hi, average dog enjoyer Steve here.
Yeah, hey.
Hi, Steve.
So when I'm walking Elmo and we're going on a walk, he's very reactive. There's a lot going on. You got buses coming by. You got other dogs.
He hates the ice cream man.
The ice cream man, any siren.
It's not just that he's allergic, but also the sound.
Elmo is 100% against sirens, hates them. They're very loud. When, we use treating as a tool on our walks.
Yeah.
And I can see if he's cueing to me when he hears those things, I know it's bothering him instantly.
Right.
I know what it is. I can put it together. We work through it. And, if he's doing it a lot, I know he's having a high stress day. I can end that walk early.
Yeah, because there's no reason to put him in situations that are more difficult than he can cope with if he can't eat.
Yeah. There's some days where it's not an issue at all, where he's looking for smells, he's doing stuff. The treats, he wants a treat, but like it's, there's other stuff going on.
You can tell he's not using the food as medicine in that moment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the other thing too, you just mentioned sniffs, right? So there are other types of enrichment. We're specifically talking about food enrichment this time. But if you do notice that your dog really likes, finding new scents and scenting in a place, and then all of a sudden they're unable to do that, like you mentioned, that's another sign that like, hey, something's up.
Yeah. And sort of on the line of food enrichment, something I used to do with my dogs, I got into food enrichment because I had dogs that didn't get along. We had to crate and rotate, and I needed to be able to give them something to do while they were in their crates and not having their out time. I had a dog who had separation and confinement anxiety. I had another dog who had an arousal disorder and was fear aggressive. And so trying to manage them in those situations was made much easier by being able to feed them their meals in their crate in a way that took them sometimes an hour, sometimes more, and then they're tired after.
Yeah.
But something that I used to do when I knew I didn't have a lot of physical energy or a lot of time, or sometimes I didn't have the brain power, is I would actually take like a can of tuna and I would open it halfway and take it outside and like basically create a path with the juice. And then I would go back and put little pieces of tuna along the path, sometimes little kibbles. And that way they have a trail to sniff that encourages them to sniff things out.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
That's really fun.
But it's also disgusting.
Yeah.
It is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Tuna specifically I chose because of the strong odor.
Yeah, the stench factor.
My dog now is good at sniffing to where I wouldn't even need to put the juice out. I could just put pieces of chicken and she could find them. But my previous dogs were much more anxious and much less medicated.
Yeah. So what is enrichment? We talk about food enrichment. What are we looking for to classify enrichment? Enrichment could be variable. So one day it could be the tuna trail. The next day it could be something frozen. Enrichment can be complex. It could be, maybe just the chicken trail that you mentioned and not the whole like tuna trail with the slime kind of leading the way. It could be, sometimes I make this for Elmo before the recycling goes out, where I will take a small box, put a couple kibbles and a treat in there, close it up and put it inside a slightly larger box with a couple kibbles and a treat, and then inside another box. And I just make like a Russian doll kind of complicated thing. And for him, he's not one of those dogs that just stands on it and tears right through. So he actually does like kind of gently try to open each box, which is super cute. He's like a kid that like saves the wrapping paper for some reason. And you're like, what are you doing, bro? Just get in there. But I mean, it's his enrichment. He can do whatever he wants. And then enrichment can also be different levels of challenging. I would caution you against making something too challenging so that your dog feels overwhelmed or frustrated or does not finish. But I want to add enough of a challenge that they're in it to play, right?
So start easy and then go harder. Maybe not each time, or maybe in not several ways each time. Maybe one level harder each session.
Can I mention something that I've noticed while you guys have been describing some of these things? It seems like novelty is an important thing here too.
Yeah.
I don't think you can rest on your laurels and just do one thing all the time, because eventually I think the reward is probably going to go down.
It's not as enriching.
Is that right?
Yeah, novelty is a huge thing. I mean, I guess like how we do it for Elmo is I have a base of things that I reach for him that we'll talk about a little bit later, but I have a base of things that I reach for that are, you know, hey, this is how he's going to eat most of his meals. And then we kind of mix it up in the moment where he'll eat, you know, a run of say like 5 days of the same kind of like frozen enrichment meal that we make for him. And then we'll just be like, guess what? We're pulling out a toy and we're going to pull out one of your enrichment toys and we're going to have you do a different thing for dinner. And so like even changing the delivery method can be enough to just kind of spice things up for them a little bit.
I think that some dogs are going to thrive on the routine of having the same enrichment items varied, and other dogs or even different dogs in different situations might thrive on the novelty of things. So as you practice food enrichment more and more, you can kind of get a feel for which dogs are which and in which situations.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the toys that are available. And I like to talk about the toys that are available and then ways you can make them yourself.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, you're not
DIY is
endorsing
king.
anything here.
Not particularly.
As your attorney, I'd like to advise you not to endorse anything here
Oh,
until
thanks,
we have
Attorney
a
Steve.
sponsorship.
Yeah,
signed.
we got average dog enjoyer,
I mean,
lawyer
I'll-
stand-in, producer Steve.
I'll take your money.
All right.
Do it!
So I didn't, like when I was like looking to teach food enrichment as a class, which I did at a couple points in my life, I didn't find a good way to classify the toys. So I kind of came up with it on my own because I wanted to know how to talk about them, right? So my first category is stuffable hollow toys. So that is things like Kong that we've mentioned before, a Westpaw Topple, a Squirrel Dude from Busybody Squirrel Dude from Petmate. I always get his titles. He's so many names like a duke, but like I always get him, you know, mixed up of which way he goes. The Squirrel Buddy is like I think he's like one of the hardest guys because he's got these little phalanges on the hole where the food's supposed to come out.
Yeah, you have
and
to
it's
cut
like
the nubs.
Yeah, if I had to
Don't forget to read the instructions, guys, because sometimes it'll say to cut the nubs and other people won't know that you have to cut the nubs.
It was me. I'm the problem.
I knew from when I watched the dog couldn't get the food out, and I said, well, this isn't working, so let's modify.
Yeah, I brought home a used Kibble Nibble to trial, and I wondered why Elmo looked like the Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette meme every time I would pull it out. And it turns out I was missing a step that you're supposed to like measure the kibble against the little like nubs that block the exit, and then you're supposed to trim them.
And that's the power of observation.
And at that point, I mean, like this was in the year 2025 that I discovered this, and I've been doing food enrichment since like maybe like 2012. So
anything can happen.
There's always new things to learn in the world. So stuffable hollow toys, you want to talk about like Kong's, Topples, the Squirrel Gentleman, and then for DIY, one of my favorites is just a toilet paper tube.
Yeah.
And
paper towel roll.
Yeah, those kind of things where I love freezing stuff, but you don't have to. So the toilet paper or paper towel rolls you can just fold and stuff with
if
kibble.
You have access to the tubes that you ship posters in.
Oh, big ones, yeah.
Yeah, or like poster shipping material.
Yeah,
you
like
might be able to
poster
get.
tubes. So I will stand the toilet paper tubes up in a coffee mug, and then stuff them from the top down with a mixture of kibble that is coated in something wet or sticky so that it freezes together to the tube. And sometimes I am able to peel most of the tube off after I get it out of the freezer. Sometimes little scraps are left on. Usually the little scraps, not really super harmful. If you have worries about your pet doing it, obviously you're going to go for a different method. But stuffing those toilet paper tubes, I think, is a really, like, I don't know, who doesn't use toilet paper or paper towels? Like, you have those kind of materials in your home, right? Pro tip about Kongs, don't fill the whole thing with peanut butter, for the love of God.
No.
Future you will thank past you for not doing
Not
that.
only is that probably too much peanut butter
That's
for
a
your dog.
pancreatitis trip waiting to happen.
It's a lot of calories also.
Thousands of calories. And I don't care how good your like baby bottle brush is in the sink, you're never getting that out.
No,
Nope.
you never are.
You're throwing that whole thing in the trash.
Yeah.
When we're thinking about a Kong having 1, 2, 3 nubs, I turn it upside down. And again, I'm using a coffee mug because I don't want stuff spilling all over my freezer. And I'm loading the little nub and the medium nub all the way full with kibble. And I might add half the butt.
Oh,
Like half the bottom.
I see.
Yep.
The little ball
Yep.
parts.
Yep. So like little guy, middle guy, maybe half the big guy. And then I put my sealer on top. So like we'll talk about like what you put in these things in a second. But like don't fill the whole thing with peanut butter. Please, please, I am begging you for.
If you want
Your
ants,
sense.
this is how you get ants.
That is how you get ants.
Yeah.
So the next category is slow feeders. So things that are intended to slow down feeding. So a lick mat, right? If we have a dog that eats wet food or we need to add like baby food and there are all kinds of like cooperative care reasons we might want a lick mat. Or a puzzle
Is
bowl.
lick mat a trade name?
I believe it is actually Licky Mat.
Licky mat. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think lick mat is the trademark.
I think Licky. Yeah, I think Licky Mat is.
Okay.
Can you look that up?
Yeah, let me look that up for you.
I mean,
Nice.
I'm saying brand names to give people ideas
Yeah.
of what they are.
How
but,
is that spelled? It is Licki.
Okay.
Matt.
So-
Licky mat is the brand.
That's the brand
You can
name.
get off brands on most major retailers.
Yeah.
You can get silicone ones and you can also get steel ones, believe it or not,
And hard plastic.
and hard plastic ones.
I am traumatized from the silicone ones because I just have always had the type of dog that stands on it and then rips it into pieces in front of me. And I'm like, well, now we have 0. of those.
Meanwhile, I really only have used the silicone ones because I don't have bully dogs anymore.
Yeah.
I have a corgi, and so she's a licker,
That's not her jam.
not a shredder.
I bought myself this beautiful.
No, she's a shredder.
I bought myself this beautiful lick mat that's just leaves. So it looks a
Yeah.
little bit like a forest floor. And I don't have the bravery
Yeah,
to
that
try
one's
it.
kind of like a puzzle feeder lick mat.
Yeah, that's
where the leaves
pretty
are
cool,
raised off the silicone.
It's a cool combo.
They have those, I think, in steel as well.
Oh.
Maybe.
Wow. That's
You'll
a
have to
fact
do
I-
your own research.
That's a fact I didn't need to know, but
Yeah.
now I need to go buy one. So the puzzle bowls, good for feeding. Just dry kibble if that's, what you have the time and the space to do. You can also freeze them, either the mats or the bowls. You can, to the bowls, this goes without saying every time, you're going to want to put the kibble or maybe a couple treats as like a little sprinkle in there. And then you're going to want to add a binder of some kind, which is probably going to be water plus or minus a,
Applesauce.
yeah, like applesauce plus water, or, Greek yogurt if your dog can tolerate that kind of dairy, plus a little bit of water to thin it out. You just want to add the smell and the flavor without 1,000 pounds of calories, because
Yeah.
this is also, if you're not careful, there's a recipe for diarrhea.
Chicken broth or bone broth without onions, garlic, or
Yeah.
salt.
Low sodium broths heavily diluted with water, so that you're just getting kind of the essence. The other thing I've used that is free of onions and garlic would be meat flavored baby foods diluted down. Because no, it's not.
But also delicious.
Yeah, you have to.
for someone else.
This is food enrichment for dogs, not for humans that have any kind of a nose to
if
smell
you think
the
it's
canned
gross,
fart.
consider adding it.
Yeah. Basically, the grosser, the better your dog's gonna like it. So that's a pretty good solution. Also, the baby food, when you water it down, I usually use like 1 jar of baby food to 3 jars of water as a pretty good ratio. But you can mess with that, however you need to. With DIY slow feeders, sometimes I will just take the stainless steel bowls that we normally feed dogs in, and I might get a slightly smaller one that I would use for their meal, and I will put in either kibble and what I'm using as a binder. So Elmo's is sweet potato because he has some food allergies that we're avoiding. So it is sweet potato that I chop, boil, and mash myself because I am that person. And then plus or minus mixing in his regular dietary kibble into that. Half of the time I will just freeze the sweet potato to the metal bowl, and half of the time I will mix the kibble in with the sweet potato, just
Like along the edges. Is that what you mean?
I make about an inch pool in the bottom of the bowl.
Got it.
And then sometimes I'll add a little water and mix the kibble in so it's one big popsicle that he can work on. And other times I will spread the kibble on top and he can eat the kibble and then work on the puzzle.
Yeah.
So that is your DIY.
I have put the hollow tube toys inside of a bowl like that and froze it as like a slow feeder type.
Yeah. That kind of makes the puzzle element for
Yeah.
them to work on. Yeah, that's a good idea. So the next category is snuffling. Most common things are Snuffle Mats. They are something that you can make if you're DIY inclined.
I think the silicone mat with the leaves, I think it's called a silicone snuffle mat now that I think about it.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So maybe it actually fits in this category
Yeah.
instead. Yeah, see, that's the thing is like
Could
it's
go,
not.
they're all intermixed.
Yep.
Sure.
You get a little bleed over.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Snuffle Mats for dogs. There's actually Snuffle Mats specifically for cats because they should be a little bit different, that are commercially able to be purchased. Elmo's not a super fan of the Snuffle Mats, so they're not like necessarily my favorite, but a lot of dogs do like them. We use them in classes a lot. If a dog is very frustrated on their leash, we will pour a couple treats, and we can really use like the dust from the treats just poured over the Snuffle Mat to get them engaged and working. To DIY a Snuffle Mat, if you have grass available to you, that's it. That's the joke. It's grass.
It's grass.
Obviously you want to be careful if you have a shared grass situation where somebody there might be broken glass or cigarette butts or something dangerous to your dog. You want to be careful.
Yeah, you can go to your favorite big box hardware store and pick up a little slice of fake grass.
Turf.
Yeah.
You can also go to your favorite
I'll bleep it.
home goods store and get like a bath mat that has the little fingers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The microfiber finger things.
Yeah.
Those work well as snuffle mats. You do want to be careful because some dogs will pluck them out.
Yeah. This is another toy we're going to supervise the first.
Yep.
bunch
They
of
also
times.
make toys that are snuffle toys where I had one that looked like a pine cone and you put the little kibbles in each of the pine cone things. Ooh. Jude really loves those because she likes to tear fabric. And so that let her do lots of fabric tearing.
And the ones that you're talking about, they're washable. You can just throw them in the
right in the washer machine.
Yeah.
And if you get fake turf, you can just hose it out.
Yeah. And then
don't put that in the washing machine.
No.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
I did that. It doesn't work.
I think
Nature
it'll melt in the
tends to watch
absolutely
grass.
will.
dryer.
You need that thing to hit some sun,
Yeah.
especially if it gets peed on.
The other thing is you can DIY. There's a lot of instructions online that you can find for tying up old pieces of t-shirt or polar fleece onto dish drains to make your own snuffle mat. Those are significantly less washable.
Or the like shower mats I've seen.
Yeah.
People have used too.
Yeah. Anything that basically has a grid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, I feel like at a certain age, there was like a summer camp activity of making pot holders on a loom that had an absolute chokehold on my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like making those snuffle mats, I would have just been a small one-person factory for them at that time if I had known that they
snuffle
were.
mat maker.
Yeah, I just would have been cranking them out. So the next category is food dispensing toys. So these are things that you don't really need to freeze. You don't really need to do a whole heck of a lot to because the toy kind of does it all for you. those are things like a Kong Wobbler or a Tug-a-Jug or a Bob-a-Lot. They all have like really adorable names.
The Bob-a-Lot is hands down my favorite enrichment toy. I've literally had 5 different ones over the course of having dogs.
Yeah.
And I still have 2. None of them have the yellow lid anymore.
We have one with the yellow lid, but just too small for him. And I keep meaning to like donate it and get the right size. But, you know, I don't know. He uses his wobbler pretty often.
Yeah.
In fact, he's such a pro at the wobbler that I have had to add a golf ball to slow how fast the kibble comes out. Yeah, pro tip.
I actually used to take the hollow toys, like the soda pup ones, upside down in the wobbler.
Yeah.
And so that she had to get them out of there into the wobbler and then on the floor.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I've never seen a dog use the Tug-a-Jug as it looks like it's supposed to be used, though. So if anyone has a video of that, for the love of God, please share. I need to know. I want to see a dog use that rope to pull the kibble out. So
I think if you want to just like Google, like pause this real quick and then pull up a picture of a Tug-a-Jug, I think that if I was stuck on a desert island and I had to survive by eating out of a Tug-a-Jug, I would die. I would starve to death. It's so hard. Some dogs love it. Some dogs make it a weapon. They like Molotov cocktail it in a way like that goes at people's TVs. So like use caution with that guy.
That'd be a backyard.
It's that seems like an outdoor or like
sounds
big
like
space.
It's fun to use for the right kind of dog.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not my jam, but that doesn't mean it's not for everybody. But yeah, that's a hilarious one. And then making your own. I have made these out of, again, recyclables seem to be a big food enrichment source here. But like if you have like a
tissue box.
Yeah, tissue box and poke holes in it and let them rumble it around.
I've used like plastic yogurt containers.
Yeah, Pringles cans.
Also, I've used PVC.
Yes.
I have used PVC and I got the little end caps for it, glued them on, made some holes. Well, one of the end caps was spinny so I could fill it. And then I drilled a bunch of holes that I made sure the kibble would fit through, and of varying sizes. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. And that's what I used. I don't know why I was on. It was a doing too much gene type of time.
Yeah.
You should trademark that.
Yeah. Yes.
The pup bomb.
Pup
yeah,
bomb.
that's
Pup bomb.
good. That's good.
Trademark.
Pup bomb coming to a store near you in the year 2050, probably.
Jen thought of it first.
She did.
You heard it here first, folks.
There's dog puzzles. They have sliders, they have levers, they have little pieces. I think, to be honest, the puzzles are my least favorite.
Same. But some people, they're their most favorite.
Oh,
and I
some
can
people love
absolutely
a puzzle.
understand that.
Yeah.
Personally, I just don't have the patience.
I feel like it's more work for me
Yeah,
to set
it
up
requires
a puzzle.
a level of interaction that when I'm doing food enrichment, I don't usually have in me to give.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the people that do it with their dogs.
Yeah.
My dog will toss it against the wall and call it a day.
I also think so there's like a famous video that is always like the food enrichment debunking thing where it's a bull terrier that takes one of the puzzle bowls and turns it upside down and they go, checkmate, food enrichment enthusiasts, look at him go. And I'm like, yeah, but he still has to pick up all the pieces on the floor instead of just horking it down out of a bowl. Like,
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have poured my dog's food into the bottom of their crate, put their blankets on top, and said, there's your enrichment time.
I do that in the living room when Steve's not home.
Ooh.
Steve knows.
You know, Jude has a puzzle toy that is like, what is that game where the balls go around the circle and they land in a specific slot?
A roulette?
Yeah, roulette. She has a roulette one where it's a big thing that you press down and then it spins and kibble shoots out. And that one's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But she can't get the hang of how hard to push it down because of her stature and how short she is. So she doesn't love it.
Yeah. For DIY puzzles, I usually go muffin tin. Mm-hmm. And then cover the muffin tin in objects. So put a couple pieces of kibble in each like muffin tin cup. And then cover them with a tennis ball or a container or a toy. And so the enrichment is going to come when the dog like has to figure out how to lift or remove those items.
There's also the plush puzzle toys that have the items inside that you can put the kibble or whatever in.
Yeah.
I've put other food toys in there even.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have a whole bunch of, I call them skins.
Yeah, I call those destroy toys
Oh, okay.
because they're kind of shredding them.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Is that our next topic?
That is our next.
Was that a segue?
Wow,
a
what a
little bit.
perfect segue.
I also do want to say one thing about muffin tins is that's what I would use instead of a lick mat if you had a dog that could tolerate the bonking noise that it makes on a floor.
Or people that can tolerate the bonking noise.
Yeah, also, I mean, it just...
Consider yourselves here, folks.
I have used them in a shelter scenario. There were some dogs that were able to bite through the metal, so they weren't a great option. We did toy, we were going to, but we didn't get a chance to toy with hanging them on the outside so that they can bob for apples a little bit and not bite down. So, destroy toys. There are specific toys, like you mentioned, that are meant to be kind of torn apart, right? So the cute one that we have currently is a trash can.
Yeah.
And inside
I have a
there's
log.
Yeah, trash can or a log. I think they're made by the same company.
There's one
and
nice
then there's
spaceship.
little. Oh, that's great. There's little tiny stuffies that go in there, and you can hide food enrichment items and kibble
Little
and
squirrels.
snacks in there. Yeah, there's squirrels, and I think what's supposed to be a raccoon, but is doing a bad job impersonating a raccoon, and all kinds of stuff. And then I've also seen, and I saw it once, and I haven't been able to find it again, but there's a stegosaurus. And its legs and spikes and head all Velcro off.
Oh, I need that.
So you can hide stuff in it. And then the
Yeah.
dog can pull its limbs apart. And then they Velcro right back together.
Yeah.
He's so cool. I have a picture of it that maybe I can... Maybe I'll help me find the brand.
Yeah.
And I can because I don't want to put the picture in the show notes because I'm pretty sure I just grabbed it from the website. But like, yeah, I'll try and see if I can find it and put it in there. And then the last thing is talking about like what we put in there, what the fillings are. So I think about a base of what's going to make up the most of the toy. So in most of these toys, kibble's a good option. For the things that are freezable, I would freeze kibble soaked in water or some of the baby food broth that we talked about.
And we're using the kibble that the dog is already eating.
Right.
I would not use a fresh new kibble unless you have a specific reason to.
Right.
That's
I'm
could be
talking
a
about like
recipe
what the
for
dogs
GI upset.
Yep, what the dogs eat every day.
Yeah.
And then I talk
Frankly,
about
their
some,
dinner.
Yeah. I talk about some added solid foods. So these are things like maybe a couple pieces of some tree, a little nugget to find in there,
Some frozen green beans.
green beans, maybe some carrots or peas, a vegetable that they like or a fruit that they like, throwing something a little extra in there. And then I think about a binder. So the binder is the thing that's the most liquid, and that might be something like the baby food broth, yogurt, canned pumpkin, a wet dog food that they already know and enjoy and are comfortable with. And that's going to help your frozen things stay frozen.
We can do like a part 2.
Yeah. This might be a 2-parter.
Yeah.
I think you might need to make this a 4-parter.
Oh my God. What if this is one of the questions we ask?
Do you want more enrichment?
Talk Dogs With Us is an informational podcast and not a substitute for qualified medical advice.
Are you a pet professional or parent looking to learn more and challenge your current assumption about our pets? Then let's go on this journey together at our website, talkdogswithus.com. Give us a bark at Facebook and Instagram at Talk Dogs With Us. You can help keep the conversation going by subscribing to our Patreon. Art direction by Alex Oren, theme song and audio engineering by Stephen Rossblock. Check out more from him at stephenrossblock.com. Thanks for listening.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Great work, everybody. We talked about dogs.